dying. It's supposed to be dead.
I knew early on, and then this is the wisdom of my mother, because as I say, each parent knows their children. You know, even if you have six girls, you know each girl. You have three children, you know each one of your children, and you know them together, but you know them individually. So my mother knew that I'm always a person I always wanted to know. And so, because I had to know, I was diagnosed with this heart issue, major heart issue, and it was not getting, it was from the time I was born. So it wasn't getting any better, but it was getting worse. And at that time, technology was not where it was. And so the doctors had told my mom that I would not live probably about past 10 or something like that. And so uh, I was always in the hospital. I would have to be there sometimes weeks at a time, sometimes months at a time, and limited in my mobility at times. And so we go to the doctor. We had to go to the heart specialist every month and all of this. And so my mother always had the doctors to share with me as much as you could with a little kid. Uh, that I was sick, and that they had told my mother that I wouldn't get any better, and that this was the time limit that they had gave. And so we were going into things that she needed to do to help lengthen my life, in that at the time when the surgery was not an option. And so this would do and do this and medicines and things like that. And so I always knew. And every time we went to the doctor each month, or when I would go into the hospital each month, or when I would have to go and stay for extended periods of time, she always had them to help me understand what was going on, because the fear for me, even though it was fearful, it was even more not knowing or understanding what was going on. And I think that even to this day, I still like details uh, in a place that I can understand them, but I still want to know. And so I was always having to deal with that. And when it came time to sometimes be in the hospital, and there were other sick kids there as well. We were in a ward at that time, so you weren't in a room by yourself. So the ward that I was on, it was always children as sick as I, and not expecting to recover. And so when you go in, you're looking at that, so you know that everybody's in the same situation that you are in. And some days we could get up and speak with each other and play with each other to limit it. And then some days you might not have the strength to do that. And so you recognized each other's time. And one time, one of the kids who was across uh, another bed from me, and I could look across the aisle and see her, she died.
Mm.
And I probably was about 5 or 6, hadn't had my surgery yet. And we always knew when a shift
Mm.
had come, because for some reason the kids would be quiet. You always, I mean, and I can't describe it to you because you weren't there, but there would be something that would let you know that something's not the same.
Mm.
And so, what would happen is, if the child died during the daytime while all we were awake or whatever, they would like pull the curtain not all the way around, but make it like the kid was sleeping, you know. And when it was time where we would should be asleep or whatever, uh, the kid they would take that bed out, and then whether it was nap time or whatever, come on, and you would then wake up from your nap or whatever it was, and that bed would be empty. And you knew what had happened, but no one said anything. And so it was
Mhm.
always obvious to me that it could be real, real, and that, the next time it could be me. So, but it wasn't any time that my mother would allow me to feel sorry for myself, but was always to make the best of where I was at that time. My mother helped me to focus on the living and not the dying. So, uh, and I'm
Mhm.
really trying to get through this, but
Whew, I'm
helped
not done.
me to focus on the living. And so the life that I had at that time was the life. And so she helped me in her way to focus on the life. And so I knew what doctors had said and didn't give her any hope. But I also knew that her strength never focused on me dying. And so from that, I drew her strength. Even with times I would want to be playing outside and I had no energy to do that. And I could just sit on the steps and look at you all or whatever. But I always, because of her, kept hope. And I don't know if I called it hope or whatever, but she never let me focus on the dying. But she kept it real. And she had doctors to keep it real to whatever language little bitty kids can understand. But she never let me focus there.
Ooh, relationships are so important, Linda. I've known you forever and a day, but you continue to know even the more. And when you said limited mobility, I thought about you were the first person I ever seen praising God in dance. I had no idea. Now I can see even the more how you would do the whole, all y'all people was out there dancing and I would watch you. And it was no slow down, but to grow up with limited mobility. And now with the girl, and now even the more, God is so merciful. I love you
Yes.
so much. And
Yes.
now sometimes you be asking me for details and I start twitching, but I see it goes from way back when. That's who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of trying to make me think that's who you are. And I praise God for learning you even the more. Girl, limited, and
Mm-hmm.
you can't be still now when you get to talking about the
Yes.
goodness of the Lord.
Yes.
It's like, there
Yes.
she goes. The first time I
Yes.
seen her, I was like, whoa. But I could see now even the more the
Yes.
significance of being able to get your praise out with
Yes.
full mobility. When
With
man
full
said you
mobility.
couldn't,
Yes.
girl,
Yes.
look at.
Yes. And it wasn't just that man said I could not. My body wouldn't allow it. My heart wouldn't allow it. I tired so easily and I'd be out of breath. And then I would be down for a couple of days and I wouldn't be able to. But now I can understand, like David, when he saw the Ark of the Covenant coming back and he broke out into praise and danced so much that he danced out of his clothes and his wife made fun of him. But you don't know,
Who?
you just don't know the wonderful feeling it is, the ability to be able to praise God when I can recall times that I couldn't even run or walk without getting tired and losing breath and have to sit, and just as a kid, not as an adult, as a child. And now I'm grateful. I'm grateful.
Who? Are
I'm
you in the COVID? What you do? I went out for a walk.
yeah.
Ha! Won't he do it?
Yes.
Girl, yes, he
Yes.
will. Won't he?
Yes.
Will he? Won't he?
Yes.
Ooh, how can you
Yes.
not love it? This is
Mhm.
something else. You had the opportunity to be laid off or whatever they call it from corporate America. And your life was like highlighted for me to watch. I've never seen anybody have one pair of pantyhose. People might not even know what pantyhose are that
Ah,
last a whole year, and you didn't have to put fingernail polish, no ruin, no, no runs up and down. One, and that back in the day, we wore pantyhose.
mhm.
It wasn't like leg
Yes.
makeup. And it lasts you a whole year. How did
Mhm.
you deal with being laid off, and how did you find, I know how I watched you, but I don't know how you dealt with it, being that high in corporate America and then let go. How did you realize the career path that you were going down?
Mm. Well, first of all, there is a word that the Lord dropped in my heart this morning.
Conquer everything that's for you. Love yourself, know that you're special. Lean not on your understanding. Let faith lead you, never settle. God, he got a plan for you, but your heart has to be clear. Trust he won't never forsake you. Always keep faith over fear. Just know the battle not yours. Keep on fighting if it's dark, cause he already won it. If he's in you, with a healthy heart.